It's Friday, January 24th, 2020. We have definitely entered a time of unpredictability and uncertainty, that is for sure. This pandemic out in China is continuing to spread. We now allegedly have somebody that has tested positive in Chicago, Illinois. There's also reports that somebody may have tested positive in the Texas area. Again, this is allegedly, but I truly believe that we are going to see more cases popping up here in America. Yet we allow anybody in the world to just walk over here. It's unbelievable. 46 million Chinese are now under quarantine. That's more than the entire state of California. Total confirmed cases, 939. 26 confirmed deaths. Now, I don't trust the Chinese a whole lot, so we don't know how manipulated these numbers are. I believe that the confirmed cases is probably much higher. I watched some video this morning where the hospitals are being inundated with people with the coronavirus. People just laying on the floors, dead bodies in some of these hospitals just laying in the hallways. They don't know what to do with all these people. This is really getting a little concerning. And knowing that we have one confirmed case in the Seattle, Washington area, and now allegedly another one in Chicago and possibly another one in Texas. I believe we're going to see many, many more popping up. What's interesting is I'm watching the stock market right now. Dow Jones currently down 184 points. You would think that the markets would be getting absolutely decimated right now just on the news of this pandemic, just on the news that there may be other people now who have contracted the coronavirus here in the States. It doesn't have much effect because these markets know that the Fed will just come in and boost them. They don't care about epidemics, pandemics, economic collapses. They don't care about the real economy. What the markets care about is the Fed coming in and injecting them when they need it. They are self-reliant now, not on good news or bad news, just on the Federal Reserve injecting money into the markets. But again, uncertain times we are at right now, and they are about to get much more unpredictable. So the market is really not feeling too much pain with all of the news of this pandemic or the real economic news. USA Today, store closures pile up with 1,200 closures already announced. Retailers face another grim year. Stock market could care less. In fact, it wouldn't even shock me if it turned around and closed up today. I mean, that's how fake these markets are. Pier 1 Imports closed up to 450 stores, nearly half of its locations. Look, I'm just the messenger. I'm not making this up. This is on USA Today. Do your due diligence. Check it out. I know that this triggers the trolls. They can't believe things like this are happening. They just believe everything is okay. Is your Bed Bath & Beyond store closing? See the full list of 40 stores shuttering in 2020. USA Today also. Again, to the trolls out there who don't believe that the economy's doing horribly, you need to do your due diligence. You need to start doing some research. You need to really start looking at the real economy, not just the stock market that you're probably not even invested in. Here's another one for the trolls out there that believe everything is okay. This is also on USA Today. Express is closing 91 stores as the fashion retailer grapples with declining sales. 31 stores will close by the end of this January, another 35 at the end of January 2021, and then the rest of the stores will close in 2022. So make sure that you do your homework, your due diligence. Don't just rely on the stock market telling you everything is okay. YahooFinance.com, U.S. Rust Belt swing states lost manufacturing jobs in 2019. Again, stock market doesn't care. Pennsylvania lost 5,700 factory jobs. Wisconsin lost 4,100 manufacturing jobs. Michigan lost 5,300 manufacturing jobs. The U.S. added 46,000 manufacturing jobs in 2019. That is the second weakest performance since 2009. Now, is it me, or is there something wrong here? We have this booming stock market, the booming economy, lowest unemployment in 50 or 60 years. We're told about the strength of the dollar, the strength of the consumer, the exceptional booming house market. This doesn't add up, does it? I mean, if you have a little bit of common sense, it's telling you something is not adding up here. Market Watch, PMI down from 52.4 to 51.7. It is now at a 3-month low. But this doesn't have any effect with the stock market, because the stock market doesn't care about PMI, it doesn't care about manufacturing, it doesn't care about you or I. It cares about the Federal Reserve injecting massive amounts of cash into these markets, liquidity into these banks. Now, we have another problem here, and this is going to draw more concern into the economy. Soybean prices plunge to six-week low on lack of China buys. You know, again, I've never been comfortable with this phase one deal. I don't trust China as far as I can throw them. Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures plunged to a 6-week low on Friday, giving up at least half of the gains seen in the run up to the signing of the phase one trade deal last week. That's how quickly the gains have dissipated. Reuters says here in Reuters, uncertainty is increasing among traders whether Chinese demand can fulfill trade deal commitments. I questioned that on the first day, and of course the trolls out there disagreed with me. Look, China can't be trusted. This phase one deal cannot be enforced. And to me, it's already falling apart. We've never had a deal. We're never going to have a real deal with China. I mean, think about phase two. There's 3 sections to it. We're already seeing problems in the phase one deal, which is unenforceable. Nobody is going to stick to this, especially China. Big concern. Brazil had a massive soybean harvest. This could entice China to source more soybeans from the South American country than the U.S. And the main reason is it's going to be cheaper to do it. And another reason is it gives China the ability to not be so dependent on the United States of America. They do not want to be dependent on America. They do not want to be told by America what to do. They do not want to be tied to the US dollar. And they certainly do not want to be a slave to America. And they're going to do whatever they can do to look at other options so that they are not dependent on America. Very interesting article on Zero Hedge today, which I believe is another bellwether to what's happening in the real U.S. economy. It's titled, Vail Resorts Season-to-Date Skier Visits Plunge 7.8%. A day at Vail Resorts, renting skis, purchasing lift tickets, this could easily cost $300+, and that's not including lodging. You include lodging and food, you could be spending over $500 a day in Vail at the ski slopes. Now, you take in a weekend with food, drinks, lodging, lift tickets, this could be $1,500 plus. The average U.S. consumer, the average broke millennial, these people frequent Vail, and they use a thing called credit cards. They use their plastic card at 17%, and they run up massive debt doing this. It looks like right now the consumer is having to make some serious choices between the student loan debt, the auto debt, the credit card debt, you know, all that credit card debt that they acquired in this last holiday season. So it's not as easy now to go to the ski slopes. It's not as easy to go to Vail. And so they're having to cut things out. And it looks like they're cutting out the ski trip to Vail. Ski visits are down 7.8% compared to last year. And dining in Vail is down 3%. So are we seeing the consumer tapping out a little bit here? Are they having to make some real hard life choices? Are they having to cut out, some of the extra curricular activities like ski slopes, like going to Vail? I believe the skiing industry, the slopes right here in the U.S. are down as a whole around 1.8%. So are people having to make some real life choices here and having to cut out some things? We are starting to reach a point where many people are having to make critical financial decisions because they've acquired so much massive debt with student loans, auto debt, credit cards. They're at a point now where they really have to do some critical thinking. They can only do so many balance transfers. It was easy making the minimum payment on a credit card, but it gets tough when you have 5, 6, 7, 8 credit cards and you're making minimum payments on each one of them. It starts adding up. So these people are beginning to tap out. They're having to cut things out of their life. And personally, I'm cutting things out of my life and I don't really even have that much debt. My debt is at a very, very minimum amount. And the reason being is because I've had to make sacrifices, cut things out of my life, make choices, and use the word no. I'm not going to go to Vegas this weekend. Some people may say, hey, I'm not going to the racetrack this weekend. I'm not taking the summer vacation this week. I'm not going to the mall this weekend. We all have to make certain choices and we have to say no to things. Whether you have money or you have no money, if you cannot save money, I guarantee you, you will be broke. If you cannot save money, if you cannot control yourself, it doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have, you will be broke. And so we have to have some amount of control, especially now, knowing what's coming. The indicators, the warning signs are everywhere. Anybody who does not see what's going on right now, you are either mentally deficient, or you are just in pure denial, because it is so clear what is going on. And I know 97% of the people watching this video clearly know what is going on. Many of you know more than what I know. But what we all know right now is that something is very, very wrong in the economy. Something is very, very wrong in our political system, and something's very wrong socially here in America. And this is all going to come to a head at some point. And what I fear most is it's all going to happen at the same time. We're going to see, things happening socially, politically, financially, and then, you look at these black swans like this pandemic now that has started in China. I mean, who knows what tomorrow brings? And that's why we must be preparing today, because tomorrow we have no idea what tomorrow brings. I want to interject one more thing in regards to the credit card topic. This article came out this morning. It's titled, "Discover Crashes Most Since the Financial Crisis on Highest Fourth Quarter Charge-Off Rate This Decade." The reason for the plunge was not to be found on the income statement, but rather the balance sheet. Now, if you look at Discover right now, they are down 11.38%. Discover reported that its fourth quarter credit card net principal charge-off rate had unexpectedly jumped from 3.2% in the third quarter to 3.41% in the fourth quarter, and 18 basis points higher than the fourth quarter of 2018. This was the highest fourth quarter charge-off rate since the financial crisis. Ask yourself, stocks are at all-time highs, unemployment supposedly at near all-time lows, and yet the consumer is getting tapped out. What happens when the Fed stops intervening? What will happen is the Fed is going to go down, and the American consumer, the average American, the masses, are going to go down with the Fed. Now, I know a lot of people believe the Fed is indestructible. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. This Fed is getting itself into massive, massive trouble. the massive expansion of the balance sheet. It's running out of ammo to curtail this coming massive recession slash depression slash meltdown. The Fed is in big trouble, just like the average consumer and the average American, the average millennial. They're all in big trouble. This country is in big trouble. Rising debts, rising deficits, all of this debt, household, corporate, federal, state, county, it's all unsustainable. And this is all going to come to a massive head. The bubbles will burst. They're going to be destructive. And does America recover from it? Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody's going to stop it. Nobody's going to prevent it. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get badder. Americans are going to see what tough times are all about. Many people in the world know what tough times are. Go to a third world country. And many people right now, when you look at the homeless rate exploding, these homeless people, they know what tough times are. But the average millennial, the average American, the masses, the sheep, they have no idea because they continue to live off of credit cards. The average American has already had his or her credit line raised, not voluntarily, but by the banks, raising people's credit lines so that they can continue to run up more credit. This is how America is surviving right now. This is how the average American is surviving. This is how the country is surviving, okay? We are spending more money than we are taking in, okay? The country as a whole is basically living on a credit card. Ask yourself this. If you live in the real world, what do you think holiday sales would have been? What do you think retail sales would be right now if you took people's credit cards away? If people actually had to use money that they had in their banking account, their checking or their savings account, or in their pocket, if they had to use real money, that physical money, where do you think this economy would be right now? If you took the credit cards away, this economy would be crashed. It would be in the biggest depression the world has seen. This thing is living on life support. It's called credit. And the minute it starts tightening up, this country is in for a world of hurt, and people are going to see what tough times are all about. And there's a lot of soft people in America, including myself. We've all gotten soft. We have all gotten soft, whether we want to admit that or not. But we're going to see, I believe, a time here in America where the strong survive and the weak are not going to. People are going to either toughen up or they're not going to make it. And it's really going to be an evolution in this country of the strong survive and the weak perish. We've all really gotten weak. And the question is, can we toughen up when the tough times get here? Are we going to be able to toughen up? Are we going to be able to survive them? Many of us will not. And look, I admit, I don't want to see the tough times. I don't want to see an economic collapse. I don't want to see a depression. I enjoy a comfortable life, as many of you do. If you're watching this video, you're watching it on your $1,200 iPhone or your $2,000 or $3,000 computer. You probably have a roof over your head. You probably have already eaten today. So you're doing much better than most of the people in the world, believe it or not. And we're all very, very blessed. We live in a country where even poor people are way better off than the poor in many, many other countries. And that's just a fact. And look, we have big problems here. We have homeless. We have people living in poverty. And for a country that we call the richest country in the world, we shouldn't have people sleeping on sidewalks. We shouldn't have our vets sleeping on sidewalks. It's absolutely unacceptable. But we're going to see more and more people sleeping on sidewalks. We're going to see more homeless. It's growing. It's not stopping. It's not slowing down. It's going to continue to get worse. And that's why I'm so adamant that we start preparing right now. We need to toughen up mentally, physically, and spiritually, and financially. Toughen up right now. So this isn't a shock to our system when the whole thing implodes. Imagine if you're completely unprepared, you're naive, you're too busy watching football games and cartoons and drinking beer, and all of a sudden overnight there's a massive crash, a collapse, whatever. You don't want to be that person. okay? Those are going to be the people in massive trouble. If you're preparing right now, you're going to be able to shift a lot easier than somebody who's just taken by storm. So I believe we need to start toughening ourselves up the best that we can right now. Mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially, toughening ourselves up. And that may mean you're going to have to cut out the weekend getaway, the summer vacation, the fancy restaurant, the shopping spree, on Saturday afternoon. You may have to cut out the $7 mochas at the coffee house. Whatever you may have to do, you're going to have to toughen up a little bit financially and make some sacrifices and start putting that money into assets to protect yourself. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we can tell by the trends right now that are happening in the country, right here, in this economy, what we see happening politically, socially, and economically, what we're seeing today is telling us what's coming tomorrow. Make sure you're preparing. Have a phenomenal weekend. God bless every one of you. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it with everybody you know. And make sure that you check. You may not be getting notifications. People tell me that from time to time they don't get notified. So make sure you're checking daily for a new video. And again, share this video. Get it out. Make sure everybody sees it. God bless you. Thanks for all your support. Talk to you soon.